Humans change very little as they go from baby to adult. We get a little bigger, but essentially retain the same basic structures. This is very different to the animals coming up in the countdown, many of which go through such dramatic transformations that young and old could easily be from different species. As humans grow older, the transformation that is perhaps the most noticeable and the least welcome is that our hair turns gray, or worse, falls out. It's thought that 2/3 of adult males will show signs of going bald by the time they turn 60. However, that's nothing compared to our first contender. Twice a year, it loses all the hair on its body. Which sounds like a silly thing to do when you live above the Arctic Circle. This is the story of two furry animals, a white fox and a brown fox. One lives on the ice, the other in the meadows. They may look different, but this is the same animal thanks to a hairy transformation. The Arctic fox is born wearing a brown coat because it contains a pigment called melanin. This is the same compound that colors human skin, hair, and eyes. The only difference is that the Arctic fox has the ability to switch its melanin on and off. As summer draws to a close, the fox starts molting. Eventually, it will replace every hair in its fur coat. The difference is that in response to the shorter days, the fox's brain releases a hormone that stops the production of melanin. So, when the old brown hair falls out, it's replaced by hair with no pigment. Not only is the Arctic fox's white fur coat longer and thicker, it also provides better camouflage in the snows of winter. However, this transformation is nothing compared to our next contender. Its camouflage is so good, it can blend into any background.
Number 9.
Our next contender is a master of disguise. By expanding and contracting thousands of tiny pigment sacs in its skin, the octopus can transform the color and shape of its whole body. Being soft and squidgy, the octopus is a treat for many predators. So, it hides from hungry eyes by producing elaborate color patterns and highly complex skin textures capable of matching almost any background. There's a species of octopus that takes transformation one step further, and it's got marine biologists asking questions. Could it really be trying to swim like a flounder? And is this an attempt to copy the shape and color of a sea snake? Is this an octopus or a deadly lionfish? No one knows how or why this animal is capable of such extreme transformations, but it's easy to see why it's called the mimic octopus. One man who can twist his body like an octopus is Birkin, the great contortionist. One day, he was practicing for a show with the Netherlands National Circus when it all went horribly wrong. His leg became firmly wedged behind his back. It was time to call an emergency osteopath. It took a lot of soft tissue massage and a pelvic correction to loosen the leg enough to be manipulated back into place. While Birkin now makes sure he warms up properly before trying any major contortions, the octopus has no such difficulties. Since it has no bones, it can squeeze through a hole not much bigger than one of its eyes. Our next contender also squeezes through tight spaces, not underwater, but underground. Some moms have no trouble being pregnant. Having a bulging tum doesn't even stop them taking part in a bikini beauty contest. However, for the next contender in our countdown of extreme transformers, the changes associated with pregnancy can cause big problems.
All right, Debbie. That's your fifth child? That's your fifth baby?
While women carry their babies inside a big belly, there's another pregnant mom that's had to come up with a very different way of making room for her offspring. She lives under the plains of Africa. Digging its way into number 8 in the countdown is the naked mole rat. These bizarre-looking rodents spend their entire life underground. They dig a vast network of narrow tunnels as they search for roots and vegetables. Mole rats are the only mammals to live in a large colony ruled by a queen. She doesn't have to lift a finger because her subjects take very good care of her. All the queen has to do is make babies, which she does better than any other mammal. She can carry 27 pups in a single litter. Unlike a pregnant human, this mom's big belly doesn't stick way out in front of her body. Since she has to continue to squeeze through narrow tunnels, she makes room for more babies by making her belly and body longer, thanks to a transformation unlike any other adult mammal. Imagine if you were like a naked mole rat. Having had your first child, a wave of hormones would trigger a growth spurt unheard of in any other mammal after puberty. Your vertebrae and spinal cord would get 30% longer. Now there's much more room to carry lots of babies. And you don't have to worry about having a big bulging belly that would get stuck in narrow passageways. The queen mole rat's extraordinary transformation makes perfect sense for her life in the dark tunnels under Africa. However, there once was another creature of the night whose terrible metamorphosis terrorized Europe for centuries. There was a time when people really believed in the curse of the werewolf. Back in the Middle Ages, even the slightest hint of abnormality would have been enough to terrorize a village. It was thought you could tell somebody was a werewolf if they had hairy palms, thick eyebrows, and hair under their tongue. Back then, you didn't even need to be bitten by a werewolf to be transformed. It was enough to sleep outside in the light of a full moon, or somehow miss going to confession for 10 years. Today, we have more scientific reasons to explain how werewolves came into existence. One theory is that in the Middle Ages, the poor ate rye bread, which was often contaminated with a fungus called ergot. When swallowed, chemicals in ergot would have caused the hallucinations and delusions that made people think they were wolves. However, there's no doubting the cause of the queen mole rat's transformation. Her expanded backbone means that she can cope with the reproductive demands of the whole colony, even if it means producing more babies each year than any other mammal.